Today we're going to talk about how to test your pool water chemistry. Now I have two types of test kits here. I have the HTH drop test kit. This is a 6-way. You can get it at any home improvement store. And then I also have test strips. Now test strips can vary in terms of accuracy. These I got on Amazon. These are the AquaCheck 7s. And I find these to be very accurate. And I base that on comparing the results to 1, the drop test, and 2, the analysis that my pool store gave me. So let's get into it here. If you find this video helpful, please help me out and subscribe. I'm very, very close to getting that 1,000 subscriber mark. That would be very exciting. First, I'm gonna start with a test strip here. And I'm testing blind. I haven't tested my pool in a couple days, and this will be news to me. So I'm gonna go test the pool water out. Simply dip for a second, don't shake it off, and I look at the values. So let's check out the values from this test strip here. You'll see I have a hardness of 250, okay? I have a free chlorine, or a total chlorine, sorry, of just about 10, and a free chlorine of around 5. Wow. So I need to shock this pool. I have a pH of 7.2, a total alkalinity. It looks like in between 80 and 120. You can see the colors are kind of melding in between. And a cyanuric acid of under 100, but over the 30 to 50 range. And I know for a fact that mine is at 70 right now. I tested it with the HTH drop kit. So that checks out. So for the cyanuric acid reading on these test strips is often inaccurate, but this one is fairly accurate, and it's accurate enough to know that I'm under this threshold of dangerous levels of CYA. The amount of cyanuric acid in your pool is a very important value to know, because that determines the amount of free chlorine you need to effectively sanitize your pool. More cyanuric acid means your chlorine is less effective. If you have a cyanuric acid over 90, you need to dump some of your pool water and dilute it and add more pool water. That's the only way to get rid of it. I have a pool video on cyanuric acid explicitly, and I'll put that link in the description. So for my pool, I know for a fact that my cyanuric acid is 70. That's what it tested with the HTH drop kit. And so for that, my target chlorine, free chlorine, is 8 ppm with a minimum of 5 ppm. That other video I mentioned explains all the levels, so check it out below. Again, this brand of test strip, the AquaCheck 7, is very accurate for a test strip. I've tried many cheapo test strips that I got on Amazon, and they are way off. You can't even tell. Now, the only accuracy I would question on this one, again, is the cyanuric acid, but it shows it within a certain range, and it shows that it's not astronomically high. So that's how it's meaningful to me in this instance. Now we can go to the drop test. These are a little more difficult to interpret, and as you'll see, the one fallback of this test is it only shows total chlorine. It does not show free chlorine, and you need to know what free chlorine levels are in your pool. So first in this test, we'll measure pH and total chlorine. Now, this color scale for me of total chlorine is hard for me to read. I don't know how people can read it accurately, but again, I'm not a professional. The professionals, they can look and they can really determine the differences in these yellow shades. For me, it's tough, but the pH is a little easier. And this pH measurement will actually be your gold standard, because this test is very, very accurate. I filled the pool water up to these marks up here, and now I'm gonna drop 5 drops each on each side. So this will be for pH, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the chlorine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and you're gonna wanna plug the tops. There's actually a little plastic thing. Shake it up, and then you read your levels. And this reads a pH of 7.2, and like I said, again, it's reading above 5 for total chlorine, which we saw on the test strip. So now let's measure water hardness. Now this isn't as important in a vinyl pool, but it is very important for people with plaster pools. So I'm gonna show you how I do that with this drop test. We're gonna fill this to the 25 milliliter level, and then we're gonna add 5 drops of the hardness indicator. So I'm gonna add 5 drops of the indicator. Now we're going to swirl this around. So this is kind of a reddish orangish color. And then we're going to use the hardness titrant. So we're gonna count how many drops it takes for this to turn from this color to a blue color. And once this turns blue, we multiply the number of drops by 10, and that'll indicate our water hardness. Now, if you remember on our test strip, it was about 250. So I'm gonna add about 20 drops fast, and we'll shake it and we'll see where we're at. Okay. Okay, still kind of a reddish color. Oh, now it's hard to tell, but it turned from a pinkish color, reddish color, to a kind of a bluish color. Now this one isn't as apparent, but that was 25 drops. That corresponds to 250, which makes the test strip right. So now we're gonna measure alkalinity, and that's the same type of deal. First, get 25 milliliters in your test tube here. Okay, so we're gonna start with the alkalinity indicator. Again, 5 drops, okay? That'll make the water green. Now we're gonna count drops until this green water turns red, and then we'll multiply that by 10, and we'll get our alkalinity. Remember, the alkalinity on the test strip was about 80, I think. So here's the alkalinity titrant. 1, 2, 3. You can see it kind of turning red, and then it dissolves back to green. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, so 11 drops. So that would indicate my alkalinity is at 110. Let's refer back to a test strip and see what this alkalinity says again. So you can see the alkalinity says well, it doesn't quite match 80. And the range, you see, and there is a little variation in the color. So it's not quite that olive color of 80. And it's not quite that, jade color of 120. It's in between. It's kind of, you kind of see some blue in there. And that's a wide range, 80 to a 120. So that checks out to me. So thank you for watching. I'll post in the description below a video on how to properly balance your chemicals once you know your readings. And I'll also post that video on cyanuric acid, or CYA. It's very important, CYA, to watch because that really affects your total pool chemistry and balance. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.